Hello everyone, welcome to this DataFlex live stream. Of course, it's a very big week this week with a lot of milestones because we have released DataFlex 2025 yesterday. And we've also released the beta version of our new website, DataFlex-dev. And we're really proud of these releases. And we wanted to discuss this with all of you and also be able for you to ask some questions to us. If you have any questions, you can ask them in the YouTube chat. If you have had the live stream open for a while, it might be that you have to refresh your browser to see the chat, but you should be able to ask questions. And of course, I'm not going to do this alone because we're going to talk about three main topics: DataFlex 2025, the new website, of course, and the upbranding, and the future of DataFlex. And I'm here with two guys that can answer a lot of your questions. First of all, we have Harm. And if you are a bit known in the DataFlex community, then you know Harm because he works with DataFlex for 20 plus years now and has been to a lot of conferences, of course, and on the Learning Center, DataFlex Learning Center. So he knows every in and out of DataFlex. So there's Harm.
Yes, hello. Yeah, it's I've been around for a while, so here I am in the screen. And yeah, we're doing this also together with Bram, who is working with us for 5 years now. Yeah. We have been working closely together with him. He's one of our more talented programmers that we have, or engineers, I would say. So yes.
Yeah, good morning, afternoon, and night, even in some cases. Yeah. So, and of course, lastly, we of course also have Jolanda, who has been working with us for 10 years.
10 years already, yeah.
10 years already.
Twice as much as you.
Yeah. Started in creative and now, practically leading a marketing department at this time, but we'll get into that later.
Yep.
Yeah. Always the happiness in the room. Shortly, Jolanda. So.
No, well, thank you. Nice introduction. And I think now it's time to start with the first topic. And the first thing we want to talk about is DataFlex 2025. Maybe, Harm, you can take this one?
Yes, yeah. So with DataFlex 2025, we released yesterday. So that's a big milestone in the DataFlex product development. And new in DataFlex 25 are the new navigation designer, dashboards, composite classes, regular expressions. Password hashing, yes, your baby. And and let me explain a little bit about the navigation designer. Let's start off with that. And the navigation designer is basically the start of a big effort that we're going to make the studio more accessible for new developers. So make it a lot easier to use. And the idea behind the navigation designer is that we already have the drill down model within the web app framework, and you can use that within your FlexStorm applications, but also in your web applications. And now with the navigation designer, you can really model those applications visually. It shows it like a big graph where you can just drag new views on, and it shows the navigations between the views. And it's really nicely built. It just looks good, and it lets you prototype applications a lot faster. But it also shows the navigations of your existing applications very well, and you can draw lines between the views to add new navigations. So I think it's really a powerful tool within the studio.
Because you're also introducing it as it's nice for new developers, but as I hear it, it's also very nice for more experienced developers.
Yes, certainly. Yes. It's completely source code driven, so it really models your source code as the entire studio does. So it's hooking into what we call CDS, the code data structure, and as soon as you make a change in your source code, it also reflects in your navigation designer, and it will model existing applications as long as they use the web register path logic that we added with the history management a couple of revisions ago. So that's definitely for existing developers, a great tool too, I think.
And is this the feature you're most proud of?
Well, it's always difficult picking your favorite child, but I would probably say that this is definitely the highlight of DataFlex 25. Although the dashboards, of course, is also a very big project and a lot of things coming together. So that's a close second, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because dashboards, I also believe that there was a big question for that in the community for the dashboards, right?
Yes, I think so. Yes, it's really a feature that has been requested a lot, and it's also really a new feature that also existing developers, of course, can use. So the dashboards is about building dashboards that are customizable by the end user. So basically, it's a system that consists of a web widget container, we call it, and then widgets that the end user can drag onto it and resize and reposition, and it stores the layout for you, and then you can use that to build dynamic dashboards, which are really a common thing in modern applications, and now we also have them in DataFlex, and it builds on top of a lot of existing technologies that we added over the last couple of revisions. So we added drag and drop, and that's also being used within the dashboards logic. We added the grid layout, especially for the dashboards, and the dynamic objects, of course, yes, which feels like it's been in there for quite a long time, but dashboards was actually one of the reasons why we started adding
quite
it.
a long plan. Wow.
Yeah. So it's
the first step towards the dashboards.
Yeah, it's a big ramp up. Yes, and it's fun to see it all come together in the dashboards logic. Yeah.
And were you saying that with the dashboard, end users of applications can create their own dashboards?
Yes. So basically, as a developer, you build the widgets.
Yeah.
And then you can, of course, provide a default layout, but then the end user can, if you allow them to, edit the dashboard, drag their own widget on it, put their own filtering in, and have a customizable dashboard that really works for them. Because, of course, within a big business application, you have different types of users. So somebody might be more interested in the latest orders as opposed to the new customers or whatever you have in your system. So that's
Yep. And what are other nice new features in 25?
The regular expressions, I think, is a really nice addition. Also something that has been requested for a long time, and we also had previous we have some developers that used the Visual Basic Script component to do regular expressions, but now we really have a modern engine inside the runtime, so it's also really fast. It's fully optimized. I think it's the quickest way we could basically provide this, and it's really a nice, slick API. And so this is a more contained, smaller feature, but it's just an extension of the language. So that's really, really nice.
And do you have a favorite of new features? Do you have your favorite child, as Harm said?
Kind of goes into the dashboards. So for the dashboards, we also added the composite, which is a really nice extension, I think, at least, of the object-oriented language or the object-oriented part of DataFlex, where you can just nest on objects. So you're really compositioning.
What's in a name?
It was literally the reason for the name. And you can kind of composite your widgets to look what you want and then reproduce them everywhere that you. There are many. Of course, this was purely for the dashboards, but of course, you can imagine a whole lot more functionality, which of course the DataFlex developers might also see a lot of potential in, and then we'll see in time how where we can add that and use it as well. So
it really works nicely with the dynamic objects as well, I think. And what's really powerful about it is it combines the unique DataFlex object syntax with the classes. So basically, you define a class as if you're defining an object, which is really, I think, nice.
And why does it work nice with dynamic objects then? Or?
Because with dynamic objects, you also dynamically create objects a lot. And sometimes, with the composite, you can now just define an object structure and create that whole chunk at once with the dynamic object container.
Previously, you had to do all these customizable things and then add them one by one. And
now it's all in one time. Efficient.
Yeah, so it's just nicer looking code. So it's nothing you couldn't do already, but it's just
easier to do.
Easier to do and structures your code better. That's
nice. More new features that we want to highlight.
Did we forget anything?
Well, maybe you could talk about, let me take a look, at the JavaScript classes, ES6 JavaScript classes.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, that's also... It's basically part of modernizing the product and maintaining the code base, especially. So what we did is with the web app framework, you have the JavaScript engine that basically does all the rendering within the browser, and this is of course that engine we have that for a couple of years now, and it was using its own syntax for creating classes, because initially JavaScript did not support classes, and nowadays all modern JavaScript implementations do support classes. So now we started to use the real JavaScript classes for our framework as well. So basically we went through the framework and refactored all our classes into JavaScript classes, which is really nice, because now we also get to use the nice code sense and syntax highlighting of tools like Visual Studio Code and things like that. So it's about standardizing and modernizing the code base.
Makes it also a little bit more approachable, I think, for
recognizable,
the more JavaScript capable developers among us. That's
And one thing I was also thinking about when we were talking about the navigation designer, is it also where does it bring DataFlex compared to low code, for example? Does it?
It's it's one of the things we're kind of doing, is we're trying to make DataFlex more accessible for new developers, and we are also looking at what is our prospect, what are potential new customers, and in that we do think that in the low code market there is a lot of potential for DataFlex. So you could see the navigation designer as the start of a low code layer on top of DataFlex, but we do want DataFlex to maintain to be a code driven product. So that's where we think we will make the difference compared to other low code products, is that in the end you are generating code, so you do get a maintainable system where you can go in and go deep and go make every change you want,
customize it exactly how you want it by diving into the code.
Yes. So it's I think that layered approach, that's what we're after.
And it also makes the whole process a lot faster. It's actually quite a funny story that Harm had to do training at an EDUC, Scanduc, what was it?
Disney.
Was it a Disney? So he had this presentation planned for a full day.
I did it the first time at Disney, and then I had to do it again at EDUC.
Disney, so he had a full day planned, and then he used we had a wizard, of course, which was already relatively fast for generating the code. But then the second time, we had the navigation designer actually in there, and then the process just went from a full day, you could do it in half a day, and it was like just click and dragging, and what, half an hour you had the full application. Then it was like, well,
I just had to come up with new training material to fill the day, because the process itself was so much faster. That's
it shows how efficient it is then now.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it certainly does.
Yeah, nice. Maybe do we have any questions in the chat?
Yes, we certainly do. I have 4 questions.
Ooh, let's go.
Yeah. Can the navigation designer be used with the new widgets?
Yes, that's a good question. So with the new dashboards, you're building widgets, and from these widgets you can also do navigations. And yes, we also added support to the navigation designer for the widgets. So the widgets will show up on the navigation designer just like views, and you can create navigations from widgets to other views. So that's yes, it does.
All right, thank you. Then secondly, we have, does the switch to ECMAScript 6 have any performance impacts?
If any, it would make it faster, I guess.
Yeah, I think but that's more due to the web. Yeah, that's also as well, because of course it's more into the JavaScript core. But also since we use Webpack now for the packing, might optimize a bit as well, but not entirely sure about that. That's but yeah, in theory it would make it faster. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Then thirdly, I was wondering if I'm able to use the navigation designer on existing applications.
Yes. Yeah, well, we already answered that a little bit, but if you have an existing application that uses the drill down model and you have your navigation paths in there, then it will show. Basically, it will render your existing application, and the last version also has an auto arrange option that works fairly well. So it can just map it out quite nicely. The initial versions, the auto arrange was a bit random, so you would click it and it would just move views everywhere. And
now it's quite solid, I think.
Yeah, it's good, and it can also help you if your application uses the drill down model but doesn't use the navigation path yet. You can really use it to quickly migrate, because it will show you all the views and you just have to draw the lines to add the navigation. So it's yes, definitely for existing developers as well.
All right.
One more.
And lastly, and it is directed at Bram and Harm. Which innovation in DataFlex 25 was the most difficult to develop?
Ooh, good question.
Well, difficult.
Difficult. Well, I would say probably the dashboard, because it has so many complex layers, and also just before release last week we had to fix a bug in the synchronization logic, because the dynamic objects could not have DDO objects before, so that's one of the things we also added, that the widgets have special powers that they can synchronize the DDO structures, the states, and there was a bug in that, because it's fairly complicated code in all. If you look at it all working together, it's pretty layered, and
so many aspects that.
Yeah, maybe also for those that are wondering, the dashboard or the dashboard widgets are data aware, so you can also. It's not so dynamic objects wasn't initially data aware, so you have to do the custom manual loaded stuff, whereas the dashboards now are fully data aware as well, and you could just pop in some data dictionaries and build your exactly like you would build a view. So that's
because it wouldn't make sense to have dashboards in DataFlex that are not data aware, right?
That's, exactly. Yeah.
Well, thanks. And lastly, one little tip. Bram, could you please try to keep your mouth at the microphone? You're turning your head a little bit away.
Yeah. Those are tricky.
You're in the middle, right?
I've looked at multiple places here.
Move around the mic.
Well, I guess that's somewhat enough about DataFlex 2025. I guess we can now talk about some branding, I guess.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, because of course we've made a lot of changes to DataFlex, and DataFlex evolves as a product, and that also means that the brand DataFlex changes. And we believe that at this point it was really time for an upbranding of DataFlex. And what does that mean? An upbranding, it's really uplifting an existing brand. So you will still recognize DataFlex as it is, but we have upgraded it. And the first thing for us that was very important is to take a look at what do the users of DataFlex think is the most important thing of DataFlex? What defines DataFlex? And we have spoken to so many people in the community, and what we received back is, of course, productivity and efficiency, and also the longevity, that DataFlex applications last a very long time. And what we heard back, what was a really great conclusion, I think, is that people that have chosen for DataFlex have zero regrets of that decision. And that is something that we will see back in our marketing as well, because that is, of course, very nice. And also that besides the technology of DataFlex, that also the community behind the product, the people behind DataFlex are also what defines DataFlex as a brand. Because we are not the hipster guys, or, we don't have the coolest coffee machines or stuff. We are just regular people that really want to help people build applications.
I thought our coffee machine with its LED lights is pretty fancy.
Yeah, if only it was actually working all the time, but
we do need good coffee, of course. Yes. Yeah, but we're just regular people. And as a DataFlex developer, you also never stand alone. There's always someone that wants to help you and that wants to guide you through and wants to make you successful as well. And that is something that we tried to include into our branding. And what I hope you can also see on the new website, DataFlex.dev, because there are a lot of pictures as well of people behind the brand DataFlex, of the community, of the people working at DataFlex, and a lot of videos as well. And you also see different colors. And of course,
though we're not wearing them today, but
yeah, we still have the DataFlex orange, because we believe that really suits DataFlex. That is a color that is really a DataFlex color. But we have also chosen for a very bright green and a very bright blue. And that is because we think that suits DataFlex. We are fresh, we are bright, we are new, and we are different from the norm. And we believe
so it's not the old blue that came back.
No,
I was literally about to say the thing. It's like it's the old blue.
It's a way more
blue.
Brighter blue.
Yes,
yeah,
I noticed.
And it's different than the norm. And I think that is what DataFlex is and what we want to show as a brand, and also what we want to use in our marketing the upcoming time.
What does this mean for the Data Access Worldwide brand or name?
Well, Data Access Worldwide, of course, is still who we are as a company. But what we believe is that we need to talk about DataFlex, the product. The product needs to be centered. And that's why we chose for DataFlex and for a DataFlex website as well, really product focused instead of company focused.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because people, when they heard about DataFlex, they're going to look for DataFlex and
Exactly.
data access.
Yeah, because that is also what we received, that it was confusing that one side you have data access and you have data access worldwide and data access Europe, for example, and Latin America, and you have DataFlex. So you have several brands and that could be confusing for people. And now we really focus on DataFlex is the brand. And of course, data access is the company behind it, but DataFlex is the brand and it's really brand focused, product
So
focused.
there will still stay to be a website on dataaccess.eu and com, or?
No, they will refer to DataFlex.dev eventually. Right now, they are still both online as well. And that is because DataFlex.dev is a beta website. And that means that dataaccess.eu and .com will still be live for a while, for a couple of weeks. And once we think everything is all right, everything is settled, those websites will go offline.
All right.
Yeah.
Clear.
So that's it.
What's the next step?
What's the
Yeah,
next
what is
step?
the next step there?
Well, we have next steps. So like I said, it is a beta release, the website, and a next step, for example, not sure if I can tell this, but I will in this live stream. We are working on making it possible to buy the studio directly on the website, because that's not an option at the moment. That's something we're working on. And you will see several tiny steps, several tiny new things entering the new website more and more the upcoming time.
All right.
Many next steps. And also, of course, we have the DataFlex Learning Center, DataFlex Download Center. All these websites will level up to the upbranding as well.
Is there a focus group or something for maybe not only just the branding, but maybe also the website or something like that?
Definitely. Yeah, because that's also something that we really researched. We really dived into what is the focus group of DataFlex. So who is interested in DataFlex, and also what are the people that we want to reach and that DataFlex can help them. And we mainly focus now on 3 target groups, and that is the developer. Of course, makes sense. Right. The lead developer, that's the developer that has a lot more experience, maybe is more in a leading role, and of course also a manager. And the main focus is for us the developer, but the other 2 are important for us as well as target audiences. And what we really focused on the website is that all of these people need to find, how do you say it?
Their connection or something?
Yeah,
like that?
They need to find themselves on the website. You know, if they recognize themselves as, hey, this website is made for me. That is what we focused on. Yeah.
Is there anything on the new website that you would really like to point out to say, if you're going to look at the website, go to this page. That's the.
Well,
what's your.
What I like about the website is that also. I really think that it shows what DataFlex is as a brand by combining the new style, of course, but also the pictures and the videos. And I really like that. And for example, also we really looked at a code comparison. So what is DataFlex compared to other codes? And I also like that block a lot about the website. So that I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
Who wrote the code in the other languages?
Oh, who wrote it? Some very talented people in the team.
All right.
Yeah. What is your favorite thing about the new website? Do you have something?
I really like how it has really the clear structure with the 3 different targets, and then when you scroll down, what I really have to get used to is you go scroll down and then all of a sudden you're scrolling to the right.
Oh yeah, we have a horizontal scroll. Yeah,
it's like all right, but that's that's probably me getting old or something. I don't know. But it's
I've asked one question because I don't know. How much is going to be migrated to the DataFlex.dev domain name? Because we also have the downloads, which is still the data access.
No, the download center is also accessible via download.dataflex.dev, Learning Center as well, and eventually everything will migrate, but that's all in steps, because there are so many things that we need to take into account for all these things that are happening. For example, we have a data access ID that is now DataFlex account that is connected to a lot of stuff. And all these things just need their attention. Yeah. We can do that in one switch. So it's step by step. For example, also the forums. But that's everything is step by step. Yeah.
Cool.
I hope we have some questions.
Ooh, let's see.
Again, we most certainly do. There were a lot of questions, so I need to filter out a few of them. But the most important one is the new website in DataFlex.
Is it built in DataFlex? Oh, what a good question. Well, it is built with DataFlex Content Manager, so that is an application built with DataFlex.
All right.
Yeah.
Then we have, will DataFlex get any AI coding suggestions in the near future?
Ooh. Of course, an AI question had to come up.
You froze it at me. Yeah, so of course AI is a big thing going on right now. And as you might expect, but I guess you will hear this from every company out there. Sure, we are looking into what we can do, of what can AI can do for us.
Yeah,
really.
you have to take a look at it at this time.
Yeah,
as a company.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are looking into it, and code sense or suggestions of code completion might be one of those things. But yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then we are going a little back to the ECMAScript 6 JavaScript question. Where can developers find information on converting current JavaScript to ECMAScript 6?
Yes, there should be a chapter in the help. So the help of DataFlex 2025, which is also now available on online. It's still at docs.data.
Yeah, also,
but, it's there should be a page where it really describes how to migrate. Did we also create a video of that, or?
I think so. Or it is on. There is a topic on it on the Learning Center course, the What's New course.
Yes, but
might not be as detailed. Yeah, with the migrating.
So maybe
Niels did a nice demo at Scanduc on migrating, and he did. A
might be
migration,
nice for a Learning Center course then in the future.
Yeah, it was really easy, or at least he showed it. It's like, what did he say? You can do it in 5 minutes?
Yeah, it's like a
big last 5 minutes.
Thing. Yeah, but there is steps in the documentation.
Yeah,
great.
Thanks. And then lastly, we have, are the forums going to be part of the new website?
The forums? They are, they're not necessarily going to be a part of the new website, but we will eventually take a look at the forums, of course, so it will get an update. But
they are planning to at least migrate it to a newer version of vBulletin, and also I think when they do that, they will also switch over to forums.dataflex.dev.
I believe it will be in.
So it will be on the same domain and everything, but
there are plans, but
it still will be a separate thing.
Exactly.
Okay, thank you. No more questions for now.
Perfect.
Good.
Then we're right on schedule, I believe. And it's time for the third topic. And this is also a very nice one because it's the future of DataFlex. What are future plans we have?
Yeah, we have, many topics really for the future of DataFlex. I guess there are three biggest ones, I would say. One is, of course, Package Manager. Then we have
Package Manager.
Yes. Then we have Technology Stack. And then lastly, of course, we have also the thing that we really started with the navigation designer to make DataFlex, or especially the studio, more accessible to the more lower code platform guys.
Making it easier to get started.
They just want to build a relatively simple application. So of course now you can use the navigation designer to design your navigations, design your views with the web designer. So all that stuff is done, right? Or at least as far as we have it right now. But there's still one missing step, or at least the biggest step there is the database design, right? So of course we do have a table editor and those kinds of things, but we would like to take it to one step further, more in the direction of the navigation designer, or at least something like it, where you can also design your tables and possibly even migrate some data, right? Because most like you said with the upbranding part. So we have 3 different cases, right? We have the developers who might need to create a new database or anything like that. But of course, we also have so some guy who has an Excel sheet or anything like that, and he would just really like to migrate the data to an application so that he can view, edit, and anything like that. So it's also a way of migrating your data, and we're really looking into that now. So making it easier to get slowly into DataFlex and take some small to bigger steps. Yeah. So that's one of the big topics. So making DataFlex more accessible. And then, of course, we have Package Manager.
Can you shortly explain what Package Manager is? Again?
Yeah. So the Package Manager is about managing libraries or extensions that so of course, we have a relatively big framework for DataFlex controls or anything like that. But there will also always be features that, we don't really provide right out of the box, where we depend partially on our DataFlex developers as well. Of course, we have our own as well. But the problem is really that, this library management becomes it's kind of hard to do, because we don't really have a single central place to manage our libraries. So the way
Package Manager is going to provide that central.
Yeah, exactly. So the Package Manager is going to provide that central location, whereas now DataFlex developers have to go to the forums, ask for the latest version of somebody's library or anything like that. And even if they do find it, they will never know whether they got an update. And maybe that's the most important part about the Package Manager, that you have one central place for the libraries. But also get a little notification if there's a security problem or anything like that.
And for example, if I'm a DataFlex developer and I create a library, can I add it to the Package Manager and that it's available for everyone, or how does it work?
Yeah, so we really intend on having this open source initiative, where we really want to encourage, the DataFlex developers watching as well to, post their libraries there, so that others have the profit of working with those as well. So, not reinventing the wheel every time and again. That's kind of what we want to avoid, and just make it easy for other developers from other environments, coming from PHP, C# or anything like that, so that they're kind of familiar with, here I can find whatever I'm looking for.
How does it work? Because I open a DataFlex studio, and do I get to the Package Manager then?
It will be a panel in the studio, right? So it's you open the Package Manager, you will be as a panel in the studio, and there you will see a catalog of all the packages that are available. Of course, packages that we provide, but also packages by third parties. And then you just click on them, attach them to your workspace, and it does the downloading and everything.
Nice. You just click install. Really, that's.
Nice.
And it's basically it's based on the library concept. So technically a package is a library, but it also has some extra powers, right? So it can add executables to your workspace or JavaScript it does a lot of automation on that. It also does version management.
Yeah, no more following the documentation on how to add a JavaScript file to your index.html or anything like that.
That sounds like a dream, right?
Yes.
Yes, and it will have a CLI interface, so you can use it on build servers if you really want to.
Yeah.
And the idea is that you don't have to commit all these dependencies to your own version control system. Basically, your SWS will have a list of all the packages that are attached. And then when you open them in the studio will say, hey, I see that you have these dependencies. Should I download them? And all that logic.
Nice.
So it's actually quite a big project with different areas, parts to it.
And also has grown a lot because, there was just this proof of concept and it's very integrated into the studio now. So it's very, system-wide almost. That's,
yes. And we have even more ideas.
We even have more ideas. Yeah, right.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
And the tech stack then, because that was also a big part, right,
technology
of future.
Stack,
Technology stack.
Yeah. So then of course the last and maybe even the biggest thing is
maybe
it is
the
technology
thing.
stack. Yeah. So the technology stack is where we're kind of quite literally reinventing the wheel almost, at least as far as so we're mainly working on making DataFlex capable of working in your web browser, and then of course partially indirectly also allowing it to work on your mobile phone or anything like that, and most importantly in an offline mode so that it doesn't immediately requires an internet connection. So
Yes.
currently we have these web applications, so we already have the web apps. They're very server intensive, so they talk a lot, so to speak.
Because DataFlex is on the server, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it's of course fine for most developers, but sometimes we get the questions of, hey, but I kind of want to run this on my local phone because, you know, I work somewhere with no internet connection or anything like that. And that's where we want to provide a way to, you know, deploy DataFlex, almost locally, but not entirely. And that's where the technology stack is a new thing where we try to re-implement the DataFlex runtime.
Yes, that's pretty much what we're doing. Yeah.
And allowing that to run on all these different platforms in the future. So we actually have 3 different stages planned for the technology stack. So the first one, like I said, is focused on this, deploying your DataFlex application in your web browser or on your phone. So that's mostly web-based. So that's purely for, Windows then, and also for WebAssembly, as we call it, or your web browser. Then the second stage is where we want to allow you, so currently web applications you can only deploy on Windows. And then in the second stage of technology stack, we really want you to allow to deploy it in Linux containers or Unix or macOS or anything like that. So becoming more, we just see a big trend that many web applications, of course, Windows works fine, but in some cases, especially with the Amazon Web Service and those kinds of things, are very often Linux and those kinds of things. And we just want
Docker as well.
We just want to provide or accommodate that need as well. And then lastly, first stage, which is not really
defined yet.
Not really that defined, but I think the general consensus is that we want to make this new runtime that we're building more general purpose again, because of course the first 2 stages were more web focused, and if we want to see how far we can take, deploying locally on Windows or anything like that as well with the user interface.
Yes, so basically, to summarize it in one sentence, we're building a new runtime, and we're slowly going to deploy that to all these new platforms, starting with WebAssembly, which is kind of comparable to Blazor, isn't it?
Yeah. So for those that are familiar with Blazor, you can kind of compare it to that. Yeah.
And then the first step is this with the WebAssembly, and that is mainly because it then also is for mobile apps, for offline apps, or?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you're basically, when you run DataFlex within WebAssembly, you're running in browser at the same place where JavaScript also lives, and our controls are written in JavaScript, so you can talk to the existing web controls, and basically that's also the compatibility part. So you're able to run DataFlex code, the exact same DataFlex code that you run on the server right now. You'll be able to run that in the browser, talk directly to the user interface, and only talk to the server when you want to query data, to fetch data. And that's the first stage. What's also really nice about that is it's a new platform, so we don't have really big compatibility concerns. It's the same language, so you will be able to reuse a lot of your code, and it's still DataFlex, but because it's a new platform, there is less of a compatibility concern. And then later on, we will take on bringing it to the other platforms.
Why is it less of a compatibility concern then?
Well, because it is a new platform, so people will have to build new applications for it, and of course they will migrate their existing web applications to this new model, maybe. But it's
the web part is a lot more migratable, even as you could call it. So at some point we just went off full Windows, but it also means that the distance between DataFlex and Windows was very close, which made it not as easy to migrate that in a sense. And now when people currently write web applications, then it's a lot more cross-platform, even, so to speak. And if you have a web application, it's a lot easier to get onto this offline support application because there's just less steps involved, so to speak. And
the new runtime will are basically the existing web controls, the currently that are currently written in JavaScript that we just migrated to the new ECMAScript classes. Those same controls, you can use them with the new runtime one-on-one, and it has exactly the same API. So every property that is available on the existing runtime will also be available there. While for Windows, we haven't decided really where to go with that yet, but that's going to be a different story for sure.
And how does it look then? Because then you have the DataFlex as it is right now. Will we have two versions then? Because we have the technology stack version and the current version, or how does it work?
Yes, well, we haven't really figured out how we're going to do that, how we're going to deploy and release that. But we will definitely maintain the existing runtime for a very long time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the same thing as we did with a character mode when we went from character mode to Windows. And the same thing we have been doing with the Windows platform, of course, for moving from Windows to web. And this is going to be similar. We will have, we will definitely maintain the existing runtime and bring new versions of that, support new versions of Windows and all that. That's definitely going to continue. Yeah. We're not really sure if it's going to be one single studio, or maybe it might, at first probably it will be like studios that you run side by side. So because of course with TechStack we're going to have a really big cycle where we're going to do many updates.
Yeah, of course.
And we hope that the package manager is definitely going to help us with that, so we can quickly push out parts, when there's issues
and improvements.
Smaller cycles.
Yeah, because what we're working towards is a so-called technology preview. That will be the first thing, which is like a pre-alpha kind of thing, and that might be a separate version of DataFlex, but in the end it will I think merge again to one product, one studio. And that's also how we have it right now in our development environments. We have a studio where we can do classic DataFlex, and but then there's a little pull down where we can say, now I want to compile for TechStack WebAssembly, now I want to compile for TechStack Windows, and that's kind of how we see that.
Yeah, so you can kind of switch at will currently.
Yeah.
That's we'll have to see how far that's.
And is there some type of timeline or something, or is there
Ooh, difficult
something
questions.
to say? Yeah.
Bram is tempted to say December, but
no.
It's
but it is kind of like we do with DataFlex 20, where we first have a technical preview.
Yes.
How many did we do there? 3, even, I think.
At least 2. Yes.
Yeah,
so,
at least 2.
and we are really
just going to be a testing
we're
stage.
Really working towards that technology preview.
Yeah.
That's the first dot that we have on the horizon, and we hope to release something there this year. I think.
That would be nice.
But that's pretty much
and it's also just to show off what we're working on.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
We think it's progressing quite well, but of course there are going to be many things that the DataFlex developers are going to try, and it's like it's broken. And
it's funny because we have been working on this for how many years now?
3.5 years almost now.
Yeah. And some parts are already really stable and working really well, but I'm sure that as soon as we give it to external developers,
the DataFlex developers are going to use the hammer and
they will
smash on it, and they will
find ways.
That's
to break
always
it.
good.
So
they always see things that once you're in it so deep, others will see other things. That's always the case, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So technology preview. Looking forward
Technology
to it.
stack preview.
Yeah, exactly.
Technology stack preview.
Nice name. Is it time to go for some questions?
Yeah, I think so.
I think so. Are there questions?
Again, there are a lot of questions. And the first one is, what new feature in DataFlex 25 brought the most discussion in the team?
Oh. That's back to 25 again.
Yes. It's.
I think that has to be the navigation designer, I guess.
Yes. I mean, the dashboards, brings together so many technologies, and we have had discussions about a lot of them over time. But the navigation designer was really something that we also had this session with the
sticky notes.
With the sticky notes, where really we had people from different parts of the company, together in a room, saying, now we're going to design
all different visions, right?
Yeah, with all different visions, and that had some debates, and I think it also shows that in the end result, what I really like about it is that we had all these discussions and we came to a really nice thing that really fits within the studio, within the framework well. So that's what I really like about it the most, that if you go back to the design that came out of that week, there's so many things that you really see in the end product.
Oh, yeah.
So that's
and I think it's also nice for different people from the company to think about these type of things. I can imagine that helps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something we should do more often. But
Yeah.
More questions.
All right. The second one is, are you planning of getting rid of the file list?
That's a good question. The file list, of course, this nice binary file that is always in use when you want to put it into Git. Yes. That's well, with tech stack, we're definitely going to get rid of it.
Or at least we have experimented enough that we don't need it.
Tech stack will not need it, and there it might come back in the form of a studio configuration files that the studio knows all the tables.
But that's only studio, not.
Yes, but for the classic runtime, we would like to get rid of it, but it still has its uses, so it's not that easy. So that's, but it's on our radar. That's definitely for sure.
Yeah. Thank you. Then we have the package manager. When are we likely going to get that in our hands? In 2025
December.
or later?
That's an inside joke for people that weren't in earlier events. That's an inside joke.
It's an inside joke. Yeah, so the package manager very much progressed. So initially I presented it with this very proof of concept command line only interface, which is very familiar to the NPM.
Well, it was an unscheduled presentation, wasn't it?
Yeah, it also wasn't because somebody was sick, and then I had to jump in. So I was literally, I woke up at like 6 and I worked on this presentation till like 8:30 or something, and then it was like, you go now. But
it was one of your first events.
Yeah, it was also my first event. But like I said, so it was this very proof of concept thing, and of course, to make it actually complete, or that we just wanted more in the studios. We wanted more tight integration. So there's a nice user interface, like we already discussed.
Yeah.
Of course, it
became a bigger project.
Yeah, it just became a much bigger project. It is the first thing we currently focus on. So 25 always now out the door. So this, together with tech stack, is the main focus.
Maybe this time it will be December.
Hopefully sooner, actually. That's
it would be better if it was.
But
sooner.
It's going to be in the next release. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's for sure.
And then continuing on the package manager, how will the packages be kept safe? There could be a malicious code getting checked in.
Right. There are many different parts of security in there. So one is on the server, we have both file checking as well as some antivirus technologies working there. So before it even gets posted, it will already get blocked. And we also have security for locally. So when you unintentionally change a file or anything like that, we also have cache files with checksums and all these kinds of things that protect both your code as well as the code of the developers that initially wrote the library. So all in all, I think
Yeah, we also talked about the verified publishers thing. Is that going to be in there?
Yeah, and there's also, not that it's implemented yet, but what we want to have is that we have some verified publishers, so the guys you can trust, so both Data Access, we have some other guys from the forums as well that we would like to have join in on that, so that you know which libraries are, well, you can be pretty sure that those are safe.
But
with the badge, they will receive
with the little check mark and be like, oh, we check this out. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
More questions?
Yes, and then we have a question about containers. Can we easier deploy Azure containers just like Visual Studio Code in the future?
I don't know. You could deploy Visual Studio Code in an Azure container, but well, of course, with the technology stack too, we of course can deploy DataFlex on in containers.
Yes.
Of course, it is a future wish to have, of course, the studio in in web, but that is a very big project. So yeah.
Yes, that's not something we're really actively working on. So I'm not that familiar with Azure containers, but DataFlex will definitely run in Docker containers in the foreseeable future. And then let's go from there, I guess.
Yeah, I think so too.
And lastly, are there any plans on the editor in the studio?
It's almost as if you came up with that question. That's Are there any plans for the editor in the studio? Yes, we are actually looking into replacing the studio editor, but it's not something that we have a deadline on. We looked at it before, and we looked at Monaco, which is the editor from Visual Studio Code, which is also a web editor, because Visual Studio Code is actually a web application, or Flextron or Electron application, however you want to call it. It's built using web technologies, and we would like to use that within the studio. We already had a prototype where it was working. The thing was, of course, code sense and all that. And we have an intern that is working on a project that's building a language server for DataFlex that would help in doing all that. So that's
because of course it's not just place the editor in there. It also needs support for DataFlex as a language and those kinds of things. And that's kind of the 20-80% rule that we have here, where you build your feature in 3 hours, and then the studio comes along and says, hey, we want some nice drag and drop and all these other features for it, and also CDS or the code data structure. That kind of takes the most time there. That's
yes, but we're looking into things like that. Yes.
Thank you. Those were all the questions.
Oh, wow. Then I think we're going to wrap up, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining this live stream. I think we had a good time. I hope you did too. There is another live stream coming up next week, and that one is going to dive in all new features in DataFlex 2025. Yeah. I believe that Bram will be there as well.
Yeah, I'm doing that with Robin again, just like last year. At least we assume that you enjoyed it. So
really diving deep into the new features and really look into DataFlex 2025. So that is on the schedule next week, April 16th. And then there are a couple of more events coming, and we call them the road shows. And those are localized events. So we will have events about dashboards and technology stack. And we will have them in Portuguese, English, and German in different time zones. And the dates we will have those events are May 6th and 7th and May 21st and 22nd.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Yeah. And
but
then
they are road shows, but they're online, right?
They're online. Yeah, they're online live streams
the
again.
road of the internet.
Good point. It's online. Our YouTube live streams again with Q&As, the ability to ask questions as well. But we will add more information on those events on the website. And then, of course, what do we have to say right now? Just download DataFlex 2025. They are on the download center. And also take a look at the new website, DataFlex.dev. And for both things, we also have a forum. So please give your feedback in the forum, because we really like to know what you think about everything. And that's it. Thank you for watching.
All right.
Hope